a day, but I'm actually travelling them tonight. So if I give them food, which are little pellets like that, they're going to be sick, and that's not going to be any good for them. So I'll have to wait till I get back to where I'm staying at Brighton. A couple of questions. Now, obviously, I don't drive around with the water in the tank. So around about next hour or two, I'll drop the water out. The fish, they go with me. They are barramundi. The reason I use them is because if I can put fresh or salt water, it doesn't matter, they're quite happy with that. Now they cost me around about $400 to replace those fish, so I look after them pretty well. And I keep them for about a month or two, as long as I can. Normally I let them go or take them back to the fish farm, whichever comes first. Usually it's a let go situation. But I don't let them go down here because they die, they don't like cold water. I've got 4 heaters down here. That water's around about 26 degrees, so it's really nice in there. Okay, let's do the show. The show's about you catching fish. I talked to this young gentleman here and he said he's a diver and the boys like diving. And he asked me a few places to go fishing. Whole of Sydney's a great place to go fishing. This comes back to local knowledge. So where are you going? Well, there's a lot of places I go to, or I used to go to. I live up in Queensland these days. So let's start. This is obviously going to be a freshwater lure. A little frog like that will get bass, cod, yellow belly, redfin. Bigger frog like that is obviously a bigger fish, like your bigger barra, your bigger cod. Now they float. You'll take a lot of fish in fresh water, early morning, late afternoon. Yes, I do salt, stick with me. And that at a lure like that, if I get towards the back of the tank, I can see some fish down there. It'll sink down nice and slowly. All you do is just gently kick it back. So kick, let it drop. So if you're targeting fish early morning, late afternoon or at night, you can work the surface. But as soon as the sun comes up, the fish will tend to get around log snags. You can see they're not silly. So I've got to work pretty hard to get the bite. Early morning, late afternoon, bang, he smashed that. He belted it, assassinated it. Again, pretty tough, rigid frog, bad fish, let go, good fish. So you got the idea. So if the fish are active, early morning, late afternoon, night, top of the hawksbill and a pea, you get plenty of bass. But again, on the surface, as soon as the sun comes up, the fish will go down. So you can work the same type of frog underneath the water just by putting a bit of weight on it. I usually sell frogs, but I'm just talking about them at the moment. Now lures. Big or small work pretty much the same way. They work, but the biggest problem most anglers have is confidence in it. The best tip I can give you, I give a lot of tips out up here, but the best tip is if you go fishing in an area and you're not catching fish, or you go somewhere, let's say you go up to the Northern Territory and you want to catch a barramundi. So many anglers will come back to me and say, I went up to the Territory, mate, I went up in winter. Well, you're not going to catch too many fish that time of year anyway, so you need a good guide. But even if they go up in the summer, if you haven't got that local knowledge, you're probably not going to catch the fish. So grab a guide, and the first day when you get there, this is common sense. If I want to learn about being a policeman, who am I going to talk to? The boys. You'll give me all the pitfalls, him. That's it, but okay, got the idea. But it's common sense. You'll give me the pitfalls. Do this, don't do that. One day I've got a fair idea. If I want to be a fisherman, I'll probably talk to myself or somebody better than me and say, mate, I want to fish that area. This is what I want to catch. Just like the guys on TV, and they'll say, no problem, mate. That lure, there, that time of day you should catch fish. It's just local knowledge. So a hard body like this back of the tank, you can kick a Yamaha and you can troll it or spin it like a little bait fish. Banged it, didn't he? The biggest problem most anglers have is the fish will see the lure, quite often follow the lure, and if the fish doesn't bite the lure and that water's dirty, Sydney Harbour, you get it back to the boat or the bank, you say there's no fish there or the lure doesn't work. They do work, but you've got to figure out what the fish want. So working a little bit differently, back of the tank, take it down to where you think the fish are, let it sit and just twitch it gently. Take it a bit further, sit it and twitch it. So what I'm looking for on the twitching action is what we call the reaction strike, where the fish will see, but as you twitch it or try and dart it away, see those fish will get their fins up and get quite excited on the twitch. So what you're saying to the fish is, I'm wounded, dying, or trying to get away. That's why when you see those gun anglers on television, if you turn the sound down, watch their hands and the rod tip, they'll twitch 1,000 times. What they're looking for is what they call that reaction strike. Now I'll go with a smaller lure just to do this, but very important, if you're not quite sure what a reaction strike is, you can test this out at home. Works in all fish and some women. To test it out, go to the pub tonight at 6, drink till 10, do not ring her, walk in the front door with a smile on your face at 10 o'clock, and as soon as you see your darling, the first words you say to her, what's for dinner? At my place, that's what we call a reaction strike. 32 years has never failed me. Guaranteed to not fail you either. Hard bodies. Let's go with a smaller one. So sea bream, black bream, estuary perch, little hard like this, get towards the back of the tank, take it down in the water column, just let it sit and maybe give it a couple of twitches. Take it a bit further, sit and be patient, twitch, twitch, sit, twitch. Even if I don't get the bite, the body language says I'm interested on the twitch and we got the bite. So sometimes the fish you never would have caught, you'll take on the twitch. That's why pro anglers do it. That's why the man with the big mouth's doing it, because it works. It's as simple as that. Twitch your lures. All right. Any freshwater anglers? Not too many, yeah? No? Good. Well, we'll go salt. All right. Remember I said to you early morning, late afternoon, at night, I'll show you a lure I haven't used today. These are called a surface lure. They're a popper. Now, it's a flat face lure. I only use these again. Freshwater, early morning, late afternoon, or at night. Saltwater, you'll get tailor, trevally, salmon, anything that likes targeting fish on top of the water. You'll also get whiting on the smaller size, and it's got to be technical. So I'll show you why it works. Back of the tank. Okay, all you do is work it like this. Now it's a little surface lure, so you're pushing water, you're saying them by moving along the surface, a little bait fish, and I'm just popping along like that. I've certainly got his attention. Usually you can sort of get one of those guys to maybe come out and smack it, too slow. But again, you can see it interests the fish. Looks like a little bait fish in trouble. It's working along. Come on, I can do this time. All right, let's set a sit. Fish can be quite inquisitive as well. I thought I might have got a touch on that. Are you going to play? Come on. Come on. Too low. Too slow. But you got the idea. They do work really well. It's an easy way to go, and they're called a surface lure. They work in a lot of places in fresh and salt water if the fish are active and chasing things on top of the water. Okay, including cicadas if you set bass. Where am I going? Let's try this. Now, if you're targeting tailor, trevally, salmon, mulloway, flathead, these work extremely well. A lot of anglers use this one while it's quiet. You can hear it. That's called a crankbait or a lipless crankbait. This one here is the same type of lure, but instead of having a hard shell, it's soft. So it vibrates, but doesn't rattle. Anything that eats a bait fish that big in fresh or salt water, get towards the back of the tank, drop it down in the water column, you sort of work it like a little bait fish, got a really nice action. Usually when they hit this, it's aggressive. They'll sort of come hard for it, and they'll hit it hard. They'll sort of nail it. Maybe, yeah, so you got the idea. So sometimes you can actually stir those fish up. You can also work this, if you get an area, fellas, where you think there's fish or you've dived in the area, you can drop that straight down in the water column to the bottom, and you sort of work it up and down like that. And sometimes you can just sort of put it in their face and annoy the fish enough they'll nail it because it's in their face. Jigging. Works quite well in a lot of different lures. You want it or not? Too slow. You want it or not? Too slow. Thank you. Got the idea. So you can actually pick up fish on the jig, which works pretty well. I'm going to go with about 4 more, we'll call it square. All this will also work if you have got a couple of baits out in the water. So if you get somewhere and you like bait, whack it out. While you're sitting there waiting for something to happen, throw a couple of lures. You've got nothing to lose and you just might pick up that fish. Stick with me, I want to show you these. This one here's called a tail spinner. Now these will work a little bit like the metal slugs, they call them. So you've got a metal piece about that big with a set of trebles on the end. This one here's called a tail spinner. Now it works pretty much the same way. I've obviously taken the hooks off that. But if you're targeting bigger fish, so if you're in Sydney Harbour, Botany Bay, and you were targeting tailor, trevally, salmon, mulloway, flathead, I'd go to that bigger size because it's much bigger. It'll even work off the beach, this fella here. It's around about 21 grams. This little fella here is 5 grams, so much lighter, but get the same type of action. So you get out in the water and just work it like a little bait fish. If I get off the fish to show you, that'd be really good. Got a really nice action, so it looks like a little fleeing bait fish. So a lot of times they'll chase it and nail it. They're not so active, in other words, you're targeting fish, always very retrieves. This one here, work it like this, lift, glide. So rod tip high as the glide, lift and glide. And the fish will normally see it on the lift. Might be whiting, might be brim, might be flathead, might be redfin, might be bass, might be tailor, might be trevally, depending on the size you're using. Quite often that lift and drop technique will take fish, bad fish, extremely bad fish, good fish. You got the idea. They work really, really well. Again, another little lure you can pick up in most tackle stores. All right, I'll show you one more small lure and then we'll go to the last couple. It's called a 1-inch wonder. It's a little crankbait. So if you said to me, Rose Bay, Watson's Bay, somewhere you've got some moored up boats, somewhere you've got a bit of structure, you'll get brim. Where you've got brim, you can sort of drop this down in the water column. I'm right in the back corner. You work that like a little bait fish. Now it's very light, so you can work it in shallow water. It's got a really nice little action. The fish are active, they should nail it. And again, I've only got a little set of trebles, and I'm only using very light line, like 2 kilo, 4 to 6 pound, 2 to 3 kilo braid, and I'm using a little 30 spin stick, 1 to 3 kilo rod. So very light stuff. Again, you can also work it like this, drop it, twitch it, drop it. You don't have to work it aggressively, let it drop, just slide on through. 9 times out of 10 the fish will sort of nail it on that drop, pretty simple. Okay. Let's get the last couple of lures. Now if you fish anywhere in Australia, a couple of these in your tackle box will give you a bit of an edge. They're called soft plastics. Now I catch thousands of flathead on these, thousands, I'm not exaggerating. Some huge fish too on these. They don't have to be that big, I mean that's a great size. This one here swims, looks like a little bait fish. So working a lure like this is all pretty simple. You don't have to be Einstein to figure it out. When you work a lure like that, and again you can get different shapes. That one's called a T-tail, but if it looks more like a fish they're called a shad shape. But there's a million different shapes. These are an atomic plastic. Now the reason I like it is, if I'm targeting fish on top of the water, get it out there like this is cheap, you work it like a little bait fish, so it looks like a little fleeing bait fish coming through the water column. He's quick, I'm quicker, pretty simple. If the fish aren't on top of the water, they might be in the mid-level, so it doesn't matter how deep a water, back there again, sort of work it with that little bit of lift and drop. So you lift it, bad fish, let go mate, let go. Trying to show him how it works, let go. Got that in his mouth, there's no hook in there, I don't want to hurt him, I just want it back. Can you let that go please? Can you let that go please? Just like that again. So if they're in the mid-level of water, near the back of the tank again, sort of work through that mid-level. So lift, glide, lift and glide. Now if you want to target flathead, let it sink to the bottom, let it sit. Lift it up gently, let it glide back down, let it hit the sand again. Lift it up gently, let it glide back down. Every time it hits a sand mud and the sand will come up, the flathead will see that as some kind of disturbance. You will catch a lot of flathead on these. If you're not getting bites and you're working it correctly, there's no flathead there. I can't do anything about that, so you move. Now, if there's only one fish in the area, where the boys are here, and I'm fishing here, what chance have I got of catching the fish? 0. So normally what I'll do is 1, 2, 3, I'll fan cast an area. If I don't get a bite there, I'll go 3 metres, I'll fan cast again. So I'm working along the bank. Sooner or later, if I get halfway down the tank, I'm actually targeting the fish. And flathead love movement, so it's all common sense. They work. They're easy, they're not simple, they're not difficult to use, and they catch fish. All right, I got 2 to go. We'll call it square. This lure here is just another atomic plastic, but I've taken most of the weight off it. So if I was fishing, say, top of the tide, where I believe, let's say it's an oyster rack, might be some mangroves, and I believe the fish, there might be some bream in there if I'm targeting bream. If I take all the weight off that and I drop it on that top of that bubbler, and it drops really slow, looks like a little prawn or shrimp, twitch it, just let it glide. So you're looking for a predator, say, that looks like an easy meal, and just about every fish in the world will take a prawn, a shrimp or a yabby. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Just the way it is. Barramundi, I think 75% of their diet, if they're in salt water, are prawns. So from the jelly prawns to the big fellas, they love it. Are those another atomic plastic? You pick them up in most tackle stores. All right, I've got 1 lure to go, we'll call it square. I do have fish grips downstairs, these. Now they float and they don't rust. So if you like fishing and you've got something that doesn't rust, does float, that handles fish, bottom jaw of your fish, that'll hold the jaw nice and tight. Head to the side, take out your hook or trebles, pretty simple. And then of course if you want to keep the fish, you're going to turn his head to the side, knife, neck, ice slurry. If you want to let the fish go, jaws are open, the fish swims. My favourite, of course, is picture. So jaws there, body, hold it up. If it's a small fish, you get it out there, they look bigger. You drop them in the drink, they don't sink, they float. More importantly, they don't rust, and price-wise, they're pretty inexpensive. The blue pair, they come in high-vis colours. The blue pair down the tank will set you back $25. The bigger pair, that I use mostly with just bigger fish, are $30. You can have a play with them downstairs. Let's do the last lure, we'll call it square. Make a great Father's Day present for somebody who likes fishing. There's some good pictures down there underneath. These are called blades or vibes. These are made for us, but you can pick up blades in most tackle stores. The reason they work is they do vibrate, that's why they're called vibes. So if I get near the back of the tank and see a fish down there, work it like a little bait fish. And I picked up a bit of a... Let me get that back to me. See if I can bang that fish back there. Okay, got him. So you can sort of work it at one pace. Looks like a little bait fish just coming through the water column. So usually if they're active, they'll chase it down and hope you nail it. Pretty simple. They're not so active. Off the bottom for your bream and flathead especially, you can sort of work it like that. Something not going right with that. I can feel it, but I can't see it. Lift it up gently, let it glide back down. If you're targeting brim, let it sit for maybe 5 or 10 seconds before you lift it up again, let it glide back in. And 9 times out of 10, the brim with the flathead will take it, not on the lift, on the glide. So it's really important you hold that rod tip high. Fish have got plenty of time to see it on the lift. Hopefully nail it on the drop. They just do. I don't train them to do that. I wish I could, but I can't. But that's usually what they do with your brim and flathead. So they work really well. These will jig nicely as well. You can sort of just work them over the side of the boat, up and down, around structure. They work really well. You can sort of, sometimes you can annoy the fish into a bite because it's in their face. A couple of short strikes there. Too late. You got the idea to call the super blade. Last but not least, thank you very much for watching. We do have a fishing bag. Now, if you've got $20, I can give you a fantastic wide brim fishing hat, which is really good, stops sun cancer. So $10 for the hat, $10 for the book, $20 for the box of plastics that I give you. So the ones I used are in that box, which is very good value. I sell that for 20 bucks, so there's 40. I'll give you a pair of kids sunglasses, boys, a pair of kids sunglasses, girls. We'll say 10 bucks. It's more than that, but let's go with that. A silicon carbide sharpening stone, one of these. These are a dry stone. You can do scissors, secateurs, knives and hooks with those. Very fine in the bag. They're 10 bucks. You get a wall chart, fresh and saltwater species of fish, fish measure and fisheries, a DVD from the police to tell you not to do dumb stuff when you go rock fishing, and one of those sharpeners they did on television. Suction cup base, tungsten tips, use them lightly, they work really well. If all that doesn't get excited for 20 bucks, last but not least, you get one of these. Now, if you go online, if I can find it, I know it's in here because I saw it there before. If you go online, follow the prompts for the next 6 months, you've got 300 DVDs or shows or films, call them whatever you like, of the best angles in Australia showing you how to catch fish all over Australia. That's free. It's in the bag. It's from AFN, one of my sponsors, one of the magazine boys. 20 bucks. If you like it, buy it. If you don't want it, I'd like to tell you where to go to get it. Downstairs, I'm packing up. Have a really good night, guys. Give the fish a small clap and yourselves for putting up with me. I'll help you. Like this. Enjoy your day, enjoy your fishing, and thank you very much for watching. Appreciate your time. If you have any questions, look at any of the lures, etc., pop down and say hi. And I'm just going to slowly start to pull a few things apart nice and slowly. Plenty to see down there. Get down and do it. Enjoy your night.
Whatever you want is really convenient. So you got everything you need in Cabramatta. 頭先我哋所講嘅話，我哋加拿大嗰啲嘅就係其實我哋一年咧翻嚟呢個舞台我都覺得好興奮，因為先係我覺得呢個社區咧係一啲都冇改變。點解咁講咧？翻到嚟咧就係好多有民族特色啦，特別係社區佢哋嘅特色嘅，譬如一啲佢哋嘅傳統嘅一個經俗嘅服飾啦，好有意思。咁同時亦都係發現哇，即係好味個鋪頭係。
I did it again, baby. Yeah!
Tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye for now.